Good morning. It's Rabba Rona with your weekly Torah message for Shabbat in times of Corona, except that this week, unfortunately, I'm late in delivering it because on Friday I got tied up with some things. Yesterday in synagogue, we read Parashat Bamidbar in the wilderness. In English, this parasha is called Numbers, the beginning of the book of Bamidbar or Numbers. It's called that because in Hebrew it says Bamidbar in the wilderness, but in English it's called Numbers because the beginning of the parasha talks about taking a census of those Israelite men who are suitable for being the foot soldiers who would ultimately take Israel into the land of the Israelites into the land of Israel and conquest to inhabit the land. Now, I'm not going to talk specifically about Corona today, but rather about flags. Why? Because we're ending the month of May and approaching the month of June. And June, as many in the LGBTQ community know, is Pride Month. And so we have pride flags in the LGBTQ community. In the instructions for the layout of the camps where the Israelites were to arrange themselves around the Mishkan, the portable tabernacle, the tribes were arranged by the compass rose, with the most important tribes to the east of the Mishkan, because the east is the most important order, led by Judah. Now, astute readers will remember that in the book of Bereshit, Judah ended up being the most important son, even though he wasn't the oldest, because of his wise actions, whereas Reuven, who was the oldest son, was kind of lowered because of things that he did, like mounting Bilhah's bed, which is in essence raping one of his co-mothers and emasculating his father, and also telling his father that if he failed to bring Benjamin back from Egypt, his father could kill Reuben's sons, Jacob's grandsons. And of course, what kind of pledge is that? If I don't bring your son back, you can kill my grandsons. Not a very good pledge. So Judah was the one who was elevated, and that's why we're called Jews. God gives the commandment that each tribe in this camp is to have a unique flag. Many people are into heraldry, which is the significance of military symbols, shields, symbols, etc., that are unique to military units and to family crests and things like that. In the Torah, it commands that each tribe is to have a unique flag. Now, the commentaries debate this. Some say each flag is to have a unique color. Others say that each flag had a unique symbol that identified the tribes. Personally, I tend to go by the color. Why? Because in the Ten Commandments, we're told we're not allowed to have tamunat kol, an image of anything. And so since we're only 2 years in since the revelation of Torah, I find it hard to believe that the tribes at this point would have designated their identities based on pictures. Although maybe they would have, since they did make the molten calf while Moses was up on Sinai receiving Torah. But I would like to hope that they didn't repeat that mistake. And so I'm going to go by the idea that they simply made flags of colors. So if that's the case, they each had a unique flag that identified who they were. In the trans community, we have similar ideas. so, of course, we have the general pride flag based on the rainbow. And we have the trans flag and the progress pride flag and the gender punk flag and the lesbian flag, all of which apply to me. And then there's various other flags, the non-binary flag, the pansexual flag, etc., etc., etc. Every different sub-community of the LGBTQ plus community has a specific pride flag. And that's amazing because we can all identify by who we are. Even LGBTQ allies have a flag with a big A on it. So if you're an ally, you can fly the ally flag to show your support for LGBTQ people and show that you aren't afraid to step up and observe the mitzvah from Parashat Kedoshim, Lifnei Iver lo titein michshol. Do not place a stumbling block before the blind. And v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love your neighbor as yourself. So as we prepare to enter Pride Month, fly those pride flags with pride. And remember, this year Pride is going to be very different. It's going to be a virtual event for the very large part, at least in June. Hopefully later in the year we'll be able to get together and do some sorts of celebrations. But for right now, Pride is really going to be celebrated virtually in many spaces. And so we'll be talking about things over Pride, over Zoom, and over other video meeting spaces, and over Facebook and other social media sites. And so we learn this way. I would also invite people to visit my website, ravarona.us, because in my queer midrashim, I have a midrash about King David and his original Pride Parade, where I talk about the use of material that looks like the or tachash, the skin of the first rainbow unicorn. And if you visit my other website, ronamatlow.com, you'll get to see an image of what the tachash looked like with the original rainbow unicorn. And no, it does not look like a My Little Pony that you see today. It's a very different kind of rainbow unicorn, and it will be proudly featured on the cover of my book, which is in final editing now, and I hope will be available by high holidays. So please stay safe and take care of each other and get ready for Pride, and happy Pride. Peace out.